Imagine being caught in the middle of a deadly school shooting where life and death hang by a thread. Now picture yourself slipping away into the light, only to return with a divine message from Jesus himself. A message to protect the innocent, to embrace life's precious moments, and to never take a single day for granted. This is the story of Semonie Leatherwood, a young teacher whose life was tragically cut short, but who was sent back to carry out a mission far greater than she ever imagined. A mission to guide others, to protect, and to spread a message of love and protection. This isn't just a story of survival. This is a story of transformation, faith, and divine purpose. Let's dive into Semonie's journey and see how one woman's brush with death changed the world forever. It was a bright autumn morning, the kind of day that made you appreciate the small wonders in life, the way the sun streamed through the classroom windows, casting a soft golden light over the students' faces. I remember the sound of their laughter, the hum of their chatter as they filed into the classroom. They were my world, the reason I woke up every day and poured my heart into teaching. I was Semonie Leatherwood, a 27-year-old teacher at St. Patrick's Catholic High School. I had a deep love for teaching, and I saw every student as a potential for greatness. But that day would be different. That day would change everything. The bell rang, signaling the start of class, and I turned toward the chalkboard to write the day's lesson. But the door opened with a force that I hadn't expected. In an instant, the atmosphere shifted. The door burst open, and I turned around to see a masked figure standing there holding a gun. Everything happened so quickly. The chaos, the screams, the deafening sound of gunshots filling the air. I tried to protect my students, to shield them from the horror unfolding before our eyes. But the pain that followed was unimaginable. Was a sharp pain in my chest, and then darkness. When I woke up, I was no longer in the classroom. I was floating, weightless, surrounded by a vast expanse of light. I could feel a sense of peace, a calm that seemed to transcend everything I had known. I was disoriented, unsure of where I was. But then, a figure appeared before me, a figure dressed in white robes, glowing with an ethereal light. I knew instantly who it was. "Do not be afraid, Semonie," the figure said. "You have been called for a purpose greater than you can imagine." I recognized the voice immediately. It was Jesus, my Savior. He looked at me with eyes full of compassion and love, and I felt an overwhelming sense of comfort wash over me. "Your life has not ended," he continued. "You have been given a second chance to share my message with the world, to protect the innocent and to teach others to value each and every moment of life." I was confused. How could I have a second chance? How could something like this, something so horrific, be a part of God's plan? But as he spoke, I began to understand. The tragedy that had taken my life wasn't the end. It was merely the beginning of a new journey, one that I would carry out with purpose and faith. I found myself standing on the edge of a cliff, looking out over a vast ocean. The waves crashed against the rocks, their power and rhythm calming my soul. Jesus stood beside me, his presence a quiet comfort. "You must go back, Semonie," he said, his voice steady but urgent. "Your mission is not yet complete. You are to return to the world, to your students, and to teach them the value of life. You must help others understand that every moment is a gift from God. And you must protect the innocent, especially the children, who are the future of this world." I was overwhelmed. How could I, one person, possibly make a difference in a world that seemed to be filled with so much violence and hatred? But Jesus' eyes never wavered. He looked at me with deep understanding, as if he knew exactly what I was feeling. "Through my strength you will succeed," he reassured me. "You are not alone. I will be with you every step of the way." I nodded, not fully understanding the weight of his words, but feeling an undeniable sense of resolve in my heart. I was ready to return, ready to fulfill my purpose. I awoke in a hospital bed, the sterile scent of antiseptic filling the air. My chest still ached, but I could feel that something had changed. The world around me seemed different now. It wasn't just the physical pain I had suffered. It was something deeper, a newfound understanding of life and its fragility. When I looked at the people around me, doctors, nurses, family members who had gathered to be with me, I knew that I had been given a chance to make a difference. I had a mission to fulfill, and it was bigger than anything I had ever imagined. Over the next few weeks, I went through physical therapy and recovered from the wounds I had sustained. But during that time, I also began to feel a shift in my soul. My faith grew stronger, and I began to understand the divine purpose that had been set before me. Once I had fully recovered, I returned to St. Patrick's. It was both terrifying and exhilarating to walk back into the same classroom where so much had happened. The memories were still fresh in my mind, the fear, the panic, the loss. But I knew that my role in these students' lives was far from over. I was there for a reason. I started each lesson by reminding them of how precious life truly is. I spoke to them about the importance of valuing every moment, of protecting one another, and of making the most of the time we have on earth. I told them about the tragedy I had experienced, not to focus on the pain, but to highlight the lessons I had learned. And slowly, something remarkable began to happen. My students started to listen. They started to change. Their attitudes toward life, toward each other, began to shift. They became more compassionate, more understanding. They understood the importance of protecting the innocent, of standing up for what is right, and of living with purpose. One day, I was sitting in my office, reflecting on everything that had happened when I received a call from a local charity. They were asking for volunteers to help children in need, to offer them a safe place to go after school, to provide guidance, and to show them the love of Christ. I knew in that moment that this was another part of my mission. I volunteered with the charity, working with at-risk children and offering them the love and care they so desperately needed. I shared with them the message I had received from Jesus, to protect the innocent, to value every moment of life, and to live each day with love and compassion. The more I gave, the more I received. I saw firsthand the impact that love and faith can have on a person's life. I saw children who had been abandoned or neglected open up and embrace the possibility of a better future. It was as if God had brought me back not only to heal myself, but to heal others. If this story has inspired you, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us spread messages of hope, faith, and healing. Share your thoughts and stories with us in the comment section. Together, we can make a difference in the lives of others. As time went on, I became more deeply involved in my community. I helped organize charity events, spoke at local churches, and worked with other organizations that were dedicated to improving the lives of children and families. Through all of this, I continued to share my message of the importance of valuing life and protecting the innocent. But I also realized something important. I had not only returned to fulfill a mission for others, but I'd also returned for my own healing. I had spent so many years of my life focused on the wrong things: career, success, accolades. But through my return, I had learned that life isn't about what we achieve, but about how we live, how we love, and how we impact the lives of others. One of the greatest challenges I faced after my return was forgiveness. The person responsible for the shooting was apprehended, and I struggled with feelings of anger and resentment. But I knew that Jesus' message was clear: forgive those who trespass against you. It wasn't easy, but with time and prayer, I found the strength to forgive. And in that forgiveness, I found healing, not just for myself, but for those who had been affected by the tragedy. The families of the victims, the first responders, and even the perpetrator, everyone needed healing, and forgiveness was the first step. The days that followed my return were a blur of emotions, challenges, and profound realizations. I had always thought of myself as someone who had everything under control. But now, I could see that the true purpose of my life was not in the accolades or the quiet success I had previously pursued. It was in the relationships I built, the lives I touched, and the love I shared. I learned that the world doesn't need more perfect teachers or perfect parents. It needs people who are willing to open their hearts to others, who are ready to serve and to embrace life fully, no matter the pain. After I returned to my classroom, I noticed something extraordinary happening. It wasn't just my life that was being transformed. It was the students, my colleagues, and even the parents who had once been skeptical about my sudden reawakening. The ripple effect of my experiences, of what I had lived through, began to affect them in ways I couldn't have imagined. There was a sense of unity that hadn't existed before, a sense of shared purpose. We began holding regular prayer meetings, not just for the victims of the shooting, but for everyone in the community who had suffered in silence, for the families torn apart by addiction, the children who had lost their way, and the teachers who felt isolated and overwhelmed. We began a project called the Circle of Compassion, which was dedicated to serving those in need, whether it was a meal for a family facing financial hardship or a listening ear for someone struggling with depression. We built gardens in the local park to provide fresh food for those who couldn't afford it, and we set up free tutoring for children who had fallen behind in their studies. The transformation wasn't just physical, it was spiritual. The community began to heal, one small act of kindness at a time. I found that when you embrace love and compassion, when you choose to forgive even the deepest wounds, your life takes on a new dimension. There is a peace that accompanies this kind of living, a peace that I had never known before. I had always been taught to keep my faith to myself, to pray in silence and to stay humble in my beliefs. But Jesus had shown me something different. He had shown me that sharing his message isn't just about praying in private or leading a life of quiet service. It's about actively engaging with the world, touching lives, and showing his love to everyone we encounter. Over the years, I've seen the seeds we planted in that community grow. The school became a beacon of hope, not just for the students, but for their families. Parents who had once been disconnected from their children began to rebuild relationships. People who had been weighed down by the heaviness of their own lives began to embrace healing through Jesus' love. We held vigils every year, not to remember the tragedy that took my life, but to celebrate the lives of those who survived and were thriving because of the work we had done together. I could never have predicted the ripple effect that one act of forgiveness could have, nor the power of one person's return to ignite change. But I am living proof that when we allow God to guide our steps, and when we open ourselves up to His calling, we can make a difference beyond our wildest dreams. The message Jesus gave me that day, standing in the light, was not just for me, it was for all of us. We are called to protect the innocent, to live every moment to its fullest, and to value each precious breath we take. And in this chaotic world, it is this message of love, forgiveness, and service that will change the course of history. Now, as I look at my children, my beautiful children who were just young when I died, I am filled with gratitude. They have grown into compassionate, loving individuals, and I see in them the continuation of the legacy that we've built together. They are not just my legacy. They are the legacy of every person who has ever been touched by kindness, by the grace of God, and by His love. There are still days when I reflect on the shooting, the moments I lost, the people I never had the chance to say goodbye to. But in those moments of grief, I remind myself that life is not measured by the seconds we breathe, but by the love we give and receive. I know now, without a doubt, that God's plan for me was always bigger than I could have imagined. The journey He set me on when He called me back from death was not a punishment but a blessing, a divine opportunity to fulfill a mission far beyond my own understanding. Today, I continue my work. I travel the country speaking at conferences, sharing my story, and encouraging others to embrace the fullness of life. I'm a voice for the voiceless, a shield for the innocent, and a light for those walking in darkness. And through it all, I remain grounded in the knowledge that I am living for something greater than myself, a cause that will outlast my years on this earth, a cause that will live on in the hearts of those I have touched. And to think all of this started because I chose to value each moment, each life, and to share the love that was so freely given to me by Jesus. In the end, our legacy isn't built on our achievements or how many lives we save. It's built on how deeply we love, how fully we live, and how much we are willing to give for the good of others. Every moment is a gift, one that we should cherish, one that we should use to make the world a better place. If you have been moved by this story, if it has inspired you to embrace love, compassion, and service in your own life, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us share more powerful stories of faith, redemption, and the impact of God's love. Share this message with others, and together, let's continue spreading the light of Jesus. Thank you for watching, and may His peace be with you always.